Hello and welcome back to GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by Bet UK, where we are on to day 2 of Royal Ascot 2022. So we will crack on with the action because we begin with the Group 2 Queen Mary for the 2-year-old fillies over 5 furlongs at 2:30. An open race, as you can imagine, with plenty of unknowns about these fillies. So Andrew, would you like to kick us off with day 2, please?
Not really, but
great.
I guess I'm going to have to. So. Yeah, again, no strong opinion here. Porta Fortuna was half interesting for Donica O'Brien, having sort of comes out best on the Racing Post top speed and postmark figures, but is round about 12 to 1. And at the moment, Ed Walker's horses, second time out, are doing extremely well. And he's got Cotai Glory here. He's around about 100 to 1, I think. Sorry, Cotai Vision, daughter of Cotai Glory, as the name suggests. And she ran respectably enough on the turf at Lingfield on her debut. She was sort of reasonably well positioned, more towards the stand side rail, but ran incredibly green and missed the break and did her best work at the finish. I just thought it's not impossible, given the form of the yard at the moment, particularly with horses running on their second start, that Cotai Vision might run some sort of race at a huge price here. So I'll go with her.
Okay, so going for 100 to 1, I can currently see for Cotai Vision, then Ed Walker's charge in here. But Daryl, was there anything else that took your eye more so?
Yeah, Beautiful Diamond, I think, wins this. I think she's bloody good, this horse. Nottingham performance for me was just eye-popping. The time was okay, but she just was doing nothing. Like, it was so effortless. And the fact that Carl Burke was saying that they've not been able to really, they've been training her with the handbrake on, and she's not doing anything. She'll improve a ton for that. And I just, Jesus, when sometimes you just see a performance and you just, like last year, right, when Perfect Power won, you just see a performance, don't you? And the form might not be there, the time figure might not be there, but you just see a way a horse wins, and you just think, just through all the years of experience of watching these horses, you just think, Jesus, that's a good horse.
Yeah,
and then that's the case. That's the case for Beautiful Diamond. It's not a strong one, but this is a good horse. This is a really good horse, I think, and I'm really looking forward to seeing her. So yeah, I'm with her.
But she is 11 to 2 currently, Beautiful Diamond. But I totally agree with you. I love those types of horses where, like you say, we can all talk about facts, figures, all the data, everything to back up a horse's performance, but sometimes visual impression just takes precedence. And when it doesn't happen all that often, which it doesn't really, does it happen all that often? So when it does, I feel like you should trust your guts with certain horses, and Beautiful Diamond being that for another 2-year-old, hopefully to go in for Carl Burke. Now we have fillies to the 4 again in race 2. This is a Kensington Palace fillies handicap, a 0 to 105 handicap for 4-year-olds and over a mile at 3:05. Another wide open contest, 6 to 1 the field, with Tamarama heading the way. Daryl, what is the play?
Take on Tamarama, that's for sure. Do you know what? I tipped this Marksman Queen the other day and hadn't had a winner for ages. And this Marksman Queen should have won this, hands down. She was by far the best horse. So put her in the track, because next time she runs, she's an absolute good thing. But Tamarana just dictated the entire race under Frankie Dettori, was just completely left alone. Didn't quicken when he asked her to quicken, just carried on, plodded on. Marksman Queen couldn't get out of a gap, and once she picked up, flew home to try and catch her and was beaten 3/4 of a length. But I don't think that was an overly strong race in the context of this one. So I'm surprised she's favourite. It's got to be the Frankie Dettori factor here, because I can't really see too much form that suggests she's well ahead of a mark of a 90. Anyway, I was looking at One Morning, who me and Andrew both looked at Scott's on her seasonal debut. It was soft ground that day. I don't think she enjoyed it. She reared coming out the stall. She lost a few lengths, but she stuck to the task really well down the outside under fairly tender handling, if you like, and she was closest at the finish, beating 2 lengths. I thought that was a really, really good run. She's very, very inexperienced. She's only had the 4 runs. She's off a mark of 82. She ran an eye-catching race at Kempton behind Laurel, who actually dictated that race. That race actually didn't even get a time figure because it was so slowly run. But she was at the rear of the field, and she came home really strongly. Sorry, that's my alarm to say do this podcast.
Well, it's good to let you know.
She came home really strongly. She's just progressive. She's a sister to a mile 6 winner, Beloved, and I just wonder if this is on the sharp side for her. But 82 definitely underestimates her. So at 16-1 in a wide open race, I'd probably take a chance on her. And the other interesting one for me was Roger Veron's Mukaddamah, who's coming into a handicap after running listed in group company and dropping into a handicap of 99, coming back from a mile and a half down to, or she's been running over a mile and a quarter the last twice, but down to a mile. I think she's got the speed for a mile, and the balance of her form it far outweighs anything that any of these have achieved. And this could just be the opportunity for her to get her head in front. And Jim Crowley takes a ride, I'm assuming 25-1. I think Mukaddamah could be a big player back down in grade.
25-1, like you say, Mukaddamah for Roger Very and Jim Crowley. The other horse you mentioned, though, One Morning, Michael Bell, Safi Osborne, and hopefully we'll get to see another good interview with Lady Bamford. She just seems a great character, doesn't she? So that would be fantastic if One Morning can go in again here then. Andrew.
Yeah, the Kenny P was a carnage race last year because the earlier races suggested you wanted to be drawn low. But of course, by the time of this one, the jockeys got into their heads that you had to be prominent towards the far side. They went up too quick. They've set it up for the closers out wide. The first three were drawn 17, 22, 18, 40-1 twice, and 22-1. So, yeah, it comes with a health warning based on what we saw last year. One Morning, as Daryl said, was on my radar, as was the second from that race, Far Too Shy. Now they've basically gone too hard. And the winner, the third, the fourth have all come from off the pace. I thought it was a huge effort by Far Too Shy to finish second. Obviously, very different ground, probably, unless the forecast rain does arrive in sufficient quantities on Tuesday morning. But yeah, sort of Far Too Shy. I think Jamie Spencer's been booked, so that suggests that they're not going to be prominent this time. They're going to come from off the pace. The other one I thought might run well is where are we gone? Belhaven. Sorry, that's so Far Too Shy won that race because Belhaven, who was second in that race, so that could be the key race. It might be worth sort of perming those three really as well, just getting them to sort of do what they did last time out. And David O'Mara's Love Interest, you can back all of O'Mara's Royal Ascot runners over the years and make a profit. He hasn't got the greatest strike rate, but he's had loads place at big prices as well. And this one was a disgrace when mid-division in the Sandringham last year, and I thought this step back up in trip would suit after 3 runs over 7 furlongs this year that haven't yielded a great amount. But those were in Group 3 and listed company, and so dropping in grade and going up in trip could be the answer to the key to Love Interest here.
Okay, 50-1 about Love Interest for David O'Mara, but a couple of other big price horses with that form line to be focusing in on. Belhaven 25-1 as well. So yeah, and Far Too Shy 20-1. James Spencer, George Margarson, as you flagged up previously too. But you know that there's only one Kenny P though, Andrew. You can't call this race Kenny P. There can only be one, and he will take precedent. Yes, he will take precedent.
We'll call it the Kensington Palace then, okay?
Give it its proper name, right? But we are on to the Dukey Cam though. The Duke of Cambridge Stakes, the Group 2 up next, and again fillies to the fore here. This is in race 3, over a mile at 3:40. Joseph O'Brien's filly Jumbly heads away as the 9-4 favourite. But Andrew, what is the play?
Yeah, Jumbly. Unfortunately, the 4-1 at the start of this week disappeared and is now 9-4. But at the risk of sounding like a stuck record, another horse who ran an absolute blinder against the pace bias at the Curragh last time out. That was in the Group 2 Lambweight Stud Stakes. The winner, what a surprise, made all. And Jumbly, too keen hold, held up in midfield, did really well to finish just over 2 lengths back. And I thought she was going to take the beating here, I should say. So yeah, Jumbly, strong bet.
Okay, strong bet then, Jumbly. Now 9-4. Like you say, that price has contracted throughout the week for Joseph O'Brien. Daryl.
Yeah, I've got a couple in there that I do like horses, perhaps for the future, perhaps not for this race. Queen Anamato, she's still improving, and I can't say it, Kate. Bulgarian horse.
Got you.
Amena.
I keep letting you attempt it, I think. Yeah. Amena.
Yeah, she was 6th in the Guineas. I don't think she had on the Newmarket track, and she's won there 3 times. But she was 6th in the Guineas, not beating fire at all, just outpaced at crucial stage, staying on strongly. She's got a lovely flowing stride about her. get her on a flat track. She'll be far, far better than we've seen so far. But she's been off 416 days, so whether or not this is the day, I don't know. But I came back to Laurel. Frankie's on. I thought she ran okay in the lock-ins, but I thought she was caught wide. She had no cover. She was pretty keen. There was a moment in the mid part of the race where Frankie just decided to let out the rein, just let her sort of do her own thing. I've noticed he does that. If a horse is really, really keen, he will sort of say, okay, you do your own thing and we'll have another day, sort of thing. And I at first when I was watching her, I thought she wasn't letting herself down on the quicker ground because she was chopping and changing her legs, but that's just what she does. But she was just too free, had no cover on the wide outside, and I think she wants to be covered up for as long as possible and pulled out for a run. The fact that they threw her into the Sun Chariot last year on just her third start suggests they think that, you know, she's a Group 1 horse, and I think there's more to come from her. She's very, very lightly raced, as we've seen, and yeah, I think she could go really well here. I think you can put a line through that lock-in run, and this is obviously a drop back in grade, so I'd be keen on her chances at about 3-1.
Yeah, 3-1, then dropping in grade, taking on the same sex, and can forgive her for last time out. Laurel, it is in the Duke of Cambridge Stakes for Daryl. Now we move on to the feature race on Wednesday. This is the Group 1 Prince of Wales Stakes, 4-year-olds and over 10 furlongs at 4:20. Luxembourg bids to confirm his success, which came in really good style, to be fair to him, at the Curragh in the Tattersalls Gold Cup last time out. He heads the way as a 2-1 market leader, but this really is competitive, Daryl, isn't it? So who did you side with?
This is really, really, really difficult, I've got to be honest. Luxembourg, I think, has done very, very little wrong. Now, I know he made the run in at the Curragh. I know he was favoured by his position, but the back form suggests that he's as good as that anyway. I just think that good ground and just letting him stride out just really sees the best of him. He was obviously disappointed on his seasonal return at the Curragh, but if you go back and watch that, he just got no run at all. And Wayne Lorden was just happy just to sit. It was literally a prep run for the Curragh race, the Tattersalls Gold Cup, and he's done very little right. He's caught too far back in the arc on deep ground. He's a horse with plenty of ability, and he finds and finds and finds. So he's the type of horse where if you back him, you always want him to be put in the right position rather than having to sort of come from off the pace and try and quicken up. Because if he's on the pace or towards the front end of the pace, he's going to just keep finding. It's down to the likes of Bay Bridge, who couldn't do it at the Curragh, to go past him. Whether or not this track will, I know this track does suit front runners, but whether or not that a lot of the other jockeys will be aware of that and not let him get off from the front end, because there's very little pace in this race. I'm just very wary that he'll get that scenario again. But I thought My Prospero had more to come. When My Prospero was a narrow beaten half-length third in this race 2 starts ago last year, he was only having like a 6th start. The other two, Adair and Bay Bridge, were having 10 and 12 starts, plenty more experience. And I just like the way this horse quick and twice down the home straight. I actually genuinely think that My Prospero is probably a 1.5 mile horse, if I'm being completely honest, right? I know I put him up for the lock-ins because I just thought he was the best horse in the race, and I thought he might get away with it. But it was a decent run there. He stayed on the finish. He's up in trip today. There's definitely more to come. Tom Mark One was reporting to the tote that he was absolutely bouncing out of his skin. I think there's definitely improvement to come for him over this trip and over further, over 1.5 miles as well. Do you know what the one thing that's annoying me? I know I'm going on a bit too long here, I'm sorry. Do you know the one thing that's just annoying me is that if you would have dropped Luxembourg into that lock-inge, do you think he would have won it?
Oh, that is a question and a half. Oh, see, I've never been the biggest fan of Luxembourg, even though he's starting to make me look a bit foolish for that. But if he'd been dropped into the lock-inge, though, I don't know, because I just feel that over a mile, Modern Games is so solid. And I know he almost himself was a little bit outpaced, and he was probably aided by the fact he wasn't up in the teeth of that strong pace then. And that might well have suited Luxembourg. But with potential traffic issues he would manage to find if he was being outpaced, I would probably still have sided with Modern Games, though, to come out on top.
Okay, maybe I'm being a little bit harsh on My Prospero then. Okay, I'm going to stick with My Prospero. I've liked him for this race for a while. Yeah, my Prospero.
Wonderful. And I'm delighted that we got your pictures back. I don't know if anyone else lost you, but I lost you for a few seconds there. So I'm pleased that you're back with us anyway. So my Prospero then for Daryl, and sorry to interject there, Andrew, because I'm also with my Prospero here as well, because he is just the horse where I think he's supremely talented, and he has all of the size and scope as well. And just to see him over 10 furlongs, talked about this race a few weeks back from an anti-post show that I did, and he was the one then that I just wanted to see stepping up in trip. I thought that the yard had a better miler in their camp anyway. We're not going to get to see him at Royal Ascot this year, unfortunately, but I'm still happy that they're sticking with my Prospero over the 10 furlongs here though anyway. And yeah, he was ever so slightly outpaced then, but he was also probably not in the ideal position in the lock-in himself though anyway, so I think he can be further marked up for that. And he's a horse where he just looks as though he's going to make up into being a better 4-year-old anyway, given the size and scope of him. And there really wasn't that much to separate him, Bay Bridge, Adaya in the Champion Stakes last season, yet he still remains unexposed over this trip. So at the prices for me as well, my Prospero, I've got to get it right, the Shakespeare reference, apparently, with my Prospero. So yeah, it's divided opinion. It's weird how racing gets agitated about certain things, the racing public, but anyway, we're both siding with him. Andrew?
Yeah, I'm just going to take on the front two. I think I'm not convinced by Adayar. Luxembourg arguably flattered by that front running win at the Curragh. Bay Bridge might be able to reverse the form, but there's rumours that he won't run unless there's rain, so we'll see what the ground conditions are like. My Prospero going back over 10 furlongs is going to suit, and they were always talking about all last season as a horse for this year. So I think he'll run a good race. And Dubai Honor, again, if they water and then get rain on water going, he's run third in the Hong Kong last time out, wasn't he, in the cracking race? And I thought he's perhaps been a little neglected in the market, round about 16 to 1. I'm not sure if William Haggis is going to run both or not, though, but it would be a surprise to see the yard have the 1-2. But yeah, I'll take on the front two. I'll just side with Bay Bridge over my Prospero, but you both make a very strong case for him.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Bay Bridge does then go for this. But Richard Kingscote taking the ride, we all like to see that though anyway. But whether or not the ground will suit, I don't know. They must be tempted now that they lost the other lad to just send him into here anyway. Bay Bridge. But both of us though, Daryl and I, with my Prospero. Now we have the Royal Hunt Cup, which is one of the most competitive contests of the entire season. A heritage handicap for 3-year-olds and over a mile at 5 o'clock. 7 to 1 the field here for you, Andrew. Cavalry charge and then some. Please take it away.
Yeah, obviously we're going to need to know about the draw and pace scenario, closer to the time. Perotto was well touted, wasn't he, after leaving Marcus Tregoning, joining Roger Vary, and he was an anti-post plunge for the Victoria Cup, despite the trip looking on the short side. Ran well in that, finishing 7th and 22. Left the impression that he'd come on for it. And he won the Britannia Stakes, of course, a couple of years ago, and he's going to appreciate going back up to a mile. But his price is covered, chances covered in the price is 7 to 1. Astro King ran well in this race last year, finishing 4th for Sir Michael Stout and racing up with the pace, which wasn't ideal. He was ridden patiently at York on his stable debut behind Croupier, desperately unlucky. Richard Kingscote got on all sorts of trouble, as he did on Passenger later in the day in the Dante Stakes. So that was debut for the Cubblers. There could be more to come, as hopefully he'll be ridden patiently here as well. So I'd just go with Astro King, I think. Saga I touched on earlier. He loves coming second. He beaten ahead into second at Newmarket last time, beaten ahead into second in the Britannia. He's one to sort of bank to finish second in your trifectas and tricast with anything else to win and finish third. A while Runner Stormer to finish second in the Lincoln, a bit disappointing in France last time out. He could go well, but his prominent style is always a bit of a worry, and he is in the 7 furlong handicap as well. Aryan Power for the Stout Yard. Hated the ground when 4th at Leicester. Better effort last time at Sandown, finishing 3rd. Not out of it, around about 33 to 1. And I had half an interest in Charlie Johnson's Outbreak, despite the fact that his horses tend to race prominently. The Dam was 3rd in the Duke of Cambridge, and also ran a good race in the Coronation Stakes, finishing 8th of 17, and wasn't best draw, went 5th at Newbury last time out. I thought Outbreak would have a squeak, but of that lot, I'll go Astro King.
Astro King to make it 3rd time lucky then at Royal Ascot. God, a couple of years ago, didn't he have just, I mean, he ran a blinder, didn't he? Two best of his group are getting absolutely smashed by a subsequent group horse. But yeah, Astro King then obviously sporting his new colours with his new yard as well to make it third time lucky for Andrew. Daryl.
Yeah, very, very tricky, of course. I've got a small short list I'll quickly rattle off. Intelligent, the first, or not in any particular order, I should say. Intelligent first. I just think he's a rock solid each way bet. I thought he was running back into form at Newbury last time, standing on really strongly behind Bear Force One. Obviously second in this race last year off a pound higher. Like, he's going to be there or thereabouts. This is his absolute bread and butter, these big field handicaps. And don't forget last year's John Smith's Cup when he was real big for eye catcher behind and Matt as well, who's obviously a subsequent group winner now. He's interesting. I thought Reach for the Moon might be interesting. I've never really liked this horse, to be honest, but
no, many people haven't.
Yeah, but
I'm going to say nobody has.
I think he's got excuses though for his last couple of runs. At Newmarket last time, he was fitting with first time blinkers. He beat him 37 lengths, but again, as I mentioned earlier about Frankie Tory, he just let him get on with it. He just pulled his arms out and just faded. The time that was the first run after a gelding operation. Before his gelding operation, he ran in cheek pieces in France and heavy ground. I think you can put a line through that as well. And I'm hoping that they're going to take the headgear off here and just leave him alone, because I think he could genuinely be the group horse in a handicap here. If you go back to his form last year at Sandown, he was obviously beaten narrowly by my Prospero, who's running in the Group 1 earlier on the card. He was beaten ahead by Bayside Boy, who won last year at Royal Ascot, obviously in the Group 1. His form is just very, very strong. He's run at this course second at Point Lonsdale in the Cheshire Stakes, which is obviously not too bad of a form. He's running there off 108, but in these type of handicaps, I'm not overly worried really about carrying top weight or not. He's a horse that's going to be ridden prominently. If he's drawn well, I think he'll put in a good shift. He's about 16-1, so I do like the chances for him. Dawn of Liberation is a pain in the ass, but he did catch the eye at Chester running on strong. He was completely outpaced around the tight bends there, and he finished very, very well. I don't think this horse has had ideal conditions for a long, long time. I don't think he likes Newmarket. I don't think he handles the undulations. I know he ran a good race there in his 2-year-old career, but he's just a big lump of a horse, and I just don't think he handles the undulations. He looks all at sea to me. So I'd strike off any of his runs at Newmarket with undulating tracks. He ran well in Lister Company behind Ever Given at Epsom last June. He was rated 107 there. He's down to 98. But I genuinely think this horse just wants a flat track and a stiff mile. And just keep it very simple with him. I think he's talented. 4-year-old's got a great record in this race, so a massive price. I wouldn't write him off. So those would be my couple against the field. Symbol of Light worth a good mention for Julie Camacho, who's having a good season. First time for Windot, been off 510 days. Former Godolphin in mate, but looked pretty progressive when we last saw him. May well just need to run to originally 66-1, but yeah, obviously the draw, pace, map, everything needs to be sort of sussed for this race for us to make an informed decision.
Yeah, like I say, there are plenty enough names to be chucking into the mix anyway before we get those finer details nearing the time when we do get the declarations with the draw then as well, because we do like to know that for the Royal Hunt Cup it is pretty helpful. So, but there are a few horses to watch out for now at least anyway, and at decent prices as well.
Right, okay, can I just mention something? Saga. Just obviously because we haven't seen draw the headgear or anything like that, or what all the other nonsense. Saga's 2 best performances have come in first time blinkers and first time cheek pieces. I know he's going to be popular if Frankie's on him for this, so I will just bear that in mind. Like Andrew said, he likes to finish second, and those have been his 2 best performances really when he's been fitted with that headgear. So will it work again? Would have to be a question to ask before you start backing him up 5-1 when he's been hammered in the market.
Yeah, I thought you were going to make the point there, so we're going to have to go up another headgear to side with him.
Yeah, it'll be a visor
on.
Yeah, we're gonna have a big night horse hood all over his neck. It's the only way we can go up from blinkers now for him. But yeah, do bear that in mind that he is the Queen likes owning quirky horses, doesn't she? I mean, Saga, she didn't actually breed, to be fair. Reach for the moon. Yeah, reach for the moon though. She actually cred, but yeah. Do you? Sorry, His Majesty the King now. Yeah, likes to well, they all like they're quirky horses apparently. And talking of the Queen, we have the Queen's Vase up now, the Group 2 for the 3-year-olds over a mile 6 at 5:35. Not a race I was overly drawn to, but I will be more so if you have any stronger convictions in it, Daryl.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, you know anything about this Wathnan racing? Because they've been going around buying all these horses, haven't they?
Yeah, I don't know anything about them because of course they've got Isaac Shelby now, haven't they? And they've given poor Sean Levy the boot, and they've got William Buick on him. But no, I don't really know anything else. But like you say, they've been busy buying.
Yeah, they've got this Gregory as well. He's looked very, very smart indeed, and he can take a world of beating in this. I would be with him, but he's obviously well found in the market at 5-2. Look, if Castleway runs in here, I'd be very interested in him. I think they thought of him as their Derby horse, but when they sent him to Epsom last year in a World Card, he just didn't handle the track at all. But I thought he was really impressive on his seasonal turn, beating Circle of Fire at Newmarket. I was a bit frustrated because I tipped Circle of Fire that day, and I did the write up, and I just writ about the two horses and said it's going to be between these two, and I got it the wrong way round. But Circle of Fire has done nothing to let down the form at all, and Castleway is a horse definitely going places. So I think he's very talented. I'd be interested in him if he comes in there, and if he's anywhere near 9-1, I'd be backing him. Gregory's obviously a very interesting one as well. Yeah,
Gregory interesting at 5-2 heading the way, but Castleway then 9-1 currently the price about him. He's bidding for a hat trick actually, isn't he, for Charlie Appleby? Wathnan Racing, Qatari backed. They are quite a new enterprise. It says newly formed back in October. It said that they were newly formed, so yeah, pretty new operation, clearly lots of money, and one winners. So fair enough, fair play to them. We welcome it. Lots of money. Andrew.
Yeah, you've got to respect anything Charlie Appleby or Aidan O'Brien run, but I'll go with St George for Andrew Balding. Clocked a good time when winning a handicap over the St Ledger course and distance last time out. Racing Post ratings are progressive: 67, 71, 87, and 97 for that latest effort. And I thought he could run a good race here, 14-1.
14-1 then. Okay, nice prices to be going to war at in the Queen's Vase. And our final race on day 2 is the listed Windsor Castle Stakes for 2-year-olds over 5 furlongs at 6:10. Loads of unknowns and unexposed types in this listed 5 furlong contest for the 2-year-olds. So Andrew, do you have a bet in the race?
No.
Okay, that was nicely, succinctly summed up. Thank you. Daryl.
Just to say that Barnwell Boy did another really, really good time when he won a good one, like really good. I'd be surprised if he repeats that. But again, a race full of unknowns, unknown draw, unknown ground, unknown headgear.
Yeah. Add the headgear into that for the unknowns for plenty. Like I say, loads of unknowns. The Windsor Castle's always tricky at the best of the times. Right, your naps then, please, Daryl. I'll go back to you then for your nap of day 2.
You've caught me out.
Wow, there you go. Right.
I know it's coming.
Are we on to 4? We're nearly in a line now. If we get the 5th one up, then someone will shout out bingo. Andrew, then your nap, please. I'll find out some more time.
Jumbly in the 340, the DOC, or the Duke of Cambridge, as it's known.
The DOC, so modern. Daryl, you probably got it now. Has Andrew stolen what could have been your nap?
No. I'll tell you what. I was going to go for Beautiful Diamond, but I'm going to go if Mukaddamah. I'm still going to back, before anyone gets on my case, I'm still going to back One Morning as well. But I think Mukaddamah at 25-1, if she runs in the Kensington Palace, I think that's a huge price. So I'll go for Mukaddamah.
Okay, and I'm going to go my Prospero then in the really tricky Prince of Wales is at 4:20. That is everything from us from day 2 of Royal Ascot. Stay tuned for day 3.